Well, hello, everybody. It is officially that 1 hour mark, that 1 o'clock East Coast time. If you're East Coast time, I'm Central time. Is anybody else Central time? So I feel like I always have to like triple check, triple check all the things and make sure I am in the right space. Well, welcome y'all to your week 6 webinar. Wanted to make sure that everybody could hear me okay. I am Melanie Schaub. I am your learning community gal, the voice that you hear through the videos every single week. I am going to pull up the chat on my phone too. When I teach like this or am live with y'all, I can't always see the questions you might have. So if you see me kind of look in two different ways, that's why. But hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to week 6. Today we're going to talk about all things week 6, which is just that journal assignment. We're going to talk about working with our amazing academic support team and how to access their services. And then we're also going to dive into detail and talk about that upcoming Module 7 final project, okay? But as always, first and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are any aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430, or you can email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. As a reminder, y'all, the OAC team is here for you. If you need content from your classroom spaces or from university events, activities, workshops in a certain way, work directly with that incredible team and they can help you get what you need that best fits your learning style and your learning needs. Okay, a couple webinar reminders. You don't have microphones and cameras enabled. It just is a little bit distracting when people forget that they're on. So we just keep it simple. You just need to be able to hear me. This is recorded too. I've already started the recording, so you can go back and watch this as many times as you want, and it'll be posted. I'll have it uploaded here within the next couple of hours, but it's always uploaded within 24 hours where you guys have been finding the webinars all term, and I'll share those links before we depart today, okay? We are in an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct. And if these webinars too, y'all, they're not graded. You don't have to be here, but I sure hope that they are helping you from week to week know what is expected of you, know where to find your assignments, and you've hopefully had a little bit of fun. So if you've watched or been watching the webinars on demand or even got to attend anything that's been live previously, make sure you let me know what you think of them, if they're helping you, that in the focus videos, because the more information we have on how these webinars and videos can support you and your success as a student, that just helps me build an even better session for you, okay? So this week, week 6, first of all, high fives, big slaps, big high fives, right? For making it to week 6. Y'all, starting school or coming back to school after being out of it or adding it to your routine, or maybe it's your first time back in school or first time in school ever, it's a lot. You know, we're busy. Life is busy. You guys always have a lot of competing priorities. There's a lot on your plate, and you've taken on this amazing goal of earning your degree here at SNHU. So I just wanted to say kudos to you. We're so excited that you've chosen SNHU to partner with on your success. And I sure hope that you're feeling pretty good. And I like to remind students that now that you're in week 6, these next couple of weeks go so fast. Okay, y'all, they're going to go quick. You're only going to have the rest of this week. You're going to have week 7, week 8, and then, wow, you're going to be in a brand new term. So it's really important to know what is due. If you have fallen behind for some reason in your assignments or your classes, or you wish you could do better on assignment, reach out to your instructor. Now is the time to reach out to your instructor, see if you can make a plan for your success and get back on track. You know, go after those points. And I always remind students too, discussions matter. So if you have been missing out on getting those initial discussion posts done when you've had them due, or you've missed peer responses, don't sleep on those points. They're really, really important. Your participation matters. Every point matters, especially as we get to the end of the term. Don't forget those assignments when they're coming up, okay? So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that. So week 6, you just have a journal that is due by Sunday or earlier as convenient for your schedule, and it's centered completely around the topic of feedback, okay? You're going to be opening up that journal template just like you've done in every other week when you've had a journal assignment. And you're going to be answering a series of questions. I always tell students, make sure you're answering all pieces and parts of the questions. Use complete sentences. Make sure you're detailed. Share your thoughts because it just helps you earn the maximum points that are possible. And y'all, so many of you were like, I didn't know there was webinars. What? Are you checking your SNHU email every week, there's emails that go out reminding you about kind of the halfway point, what's coming up, and any webinars that are going on. And then usually instructors are posting them in the announcements too. So there's been webinars every single week of the term. So I'm so glad you're here now. So now you'll know, and I know y'all get a lot of emails, but do your due diligence and always go through and check those emails. This is our first live session for the term. All the other ones were on demand and available every Monday morning. So just know they're there, and I'll share those links with you guys there. But for your journal assignment, you're going to be answering these questions all about feedback, why you think feedback is important, your perceptions regarding feedback, and how receiving feedback makes you feel. And if you struggle with feedback, how could you improve your reaction? Question 3 is thinking about past feedback to inform how you might give feedback now. And I always have students ask, like, what does past feedback mean? This could be like from a work situation. This could be from a personal situation. It could be from a high school experience where you didn't get a good grade on something and you weren't sure how to process that. Those are just some examples that students have used in the past. I like to remind them of that. Question 4 is to describe the impact that diversity awareness has on giving and receiving feedback. Like, why is that important? What can we learn from each other as we move forward and do a lot of group things? And then question 5 is describe how you can use strategies for interacting with diverse groups of people as you give and receive feedback. Okay, so that's it for module 6. As a reminder, you have a template again. These are the questions that you're answering, and it's due by Sunday or earlier as convenient for your schedule. Sound good on that? Everybody good for week 6? I'm going to check the chat just real quick and make sure that we're good. Okay, sounds like we're good on week 6. So final project. Final project is due next week. It is a module 7 assignment. We talk about it a whole week early because we just want to really make sure that you are well prepared and know what's expected of you. So as a reminder, your project is worth a big chunk of your points in your overall grade. So it's worth 250 out of those 1,000 points. It can be a deal breaker for a grade. So if you remember anything from this webinar, it is that you have come too far and worked too hard to not turn it in. Okay, just remember that. Turn it in. Every point matters. So this project, it's just one project. And the cool thing is that you have been working on these concepts and these ideas or talked about these pieces of the final project in other assignments that you've done throughout the term. So it's nothing new. It's not new information. So this project basically just kind of connects the dots of what you've learned all term long, and you're putting it into one document. There's a template, just like before, and there's also an example. It's in module 7. The example is there to give you a solid foundation of what this final project should look like when you turn it in. It's not perfect, and you want to make sure that you utilize it only as guidance. Don't copy it verbatim because it'll flag an academic integrity issue in seconds. Okay, just know that. But the cool thing about this project is you've already talked about all the concepts and the questions. You're going to recognize or be familiar with some of the things it's asking you in the project. Like, for example, we're going to go back and think about our schedules. We talked about schedules and interruptions back in week 2, remember? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in your final project. You're going to see those academic mission statements and those 3 short-term goals that you wrote and built in week 4 appear again. You want to make sure that you read each question carefully, and I'll get to that as we go through that final project example. Read each question carefully, because every term I have students that tell me like, hey, I've already answered this question, I feel like, so can I just like copy and paste what I wrote in week 2 and put it in week 7? And I always say, make sure you're reading the details, because they're not all exactly the same question, same concepts, but make sure, and you have familiar things, you're going to have similar answers, but they might not be exactly what, so you can't just be copying and pasting. And we'll talk more about the one spot where you might have a copy and paste opportunity, which would be those mission and goals. So we're going to talk more about that. But the biggest thing is I want you to remember that you've already talked about all these concepts. We've already done some of these things in assignments. It's nothing new. You have a template. We're going to connect the dots what we learned all term long. Go back. One of the students already shared that they have like gone back and looked in the grade center for all of their journal assignments, and they kind of pulled that feedback from their instructor on what they said or any changes they might need to make, and that's helping them prep for their final project. So go back, look at those grades, especially from week 4, use the template and use your resources, which brings me to our very own special guest from our amazing SNHU Academic Support team. Allison Johnson is here with us today, y'all. She has a very busy calendar, and we're so lucky to have her because she is one of the amazing team members from the academic support team. Now, has anybody utilized academic support yet, either for written feedback or maybe you're working with an academic coach, or maybe you've utilized the tutoring, maybe you've attended a workshop. Yay, I see lots of you have, which is absolutely awesome. So this is what is so cool. If you have been on the fence about utilizing the academic support team, or you've been nervous to reach out to those resources, or you didn't know where to click or how to get started, this is why we do this webinar, because we want you to feel comfortable with utilizing these teams. And then also hearing from other students like, oh, I've used that and it was awesome, or hey, this was super helpful for me. The more support you utilize, the more successful you're going to be. So Allison is one of our amazing team members from SNHU Academic Support. Some fun facts about her. I like for you guys to get to know our SNHU family here. Is she used to teach high school English in a rural town that didn't even have a traffic light. And Allison and I have co-taught this webinar together for years, y'all, years. And so she's heard me say a million times that my little tiny town of Coon Rapids, Iowa, where I grew up, has like a blinking traffic light. I don't even know what that's for. But Allison has been an academic advisor for online students, just like you, for several years. And then she transitioned over into the academic support team role. She loves working with all students, but she has a special place in her heart for those students that have been out of school for a long time and they're coming back to meet their academic goals. My favorite fun fact about her, though, is that she's a huge fan of stand-up comedy and has a collection of comedy records, y'all. But she's one of the many people that are here to support your success. And how this is going to kind of work is I'm going to ask Allison a series of questions and she's going to let us know. It's like I'm interviewing her. She's going to let us know her thoughts from the academic support team and just making sure that you feel really comfortable and confident in utilizing the academic support team services, but also as you begin to work on that final project. So Allison, how do students find and access academic support?
Hello. So like many things, there's a lot of different ways to find us. One of the easiest ways to find us is right in your class. You can right above that banner to your class. There's this lovely menu that you're probably familiar with and have been staring at many days. We are right next to Shapiro Library. If you click on academic support, that pops it out into our academic support area. You can also access us from My SNHU. You can also access us from the main page under student supports. So many different ways to get here. This is just one, and it's the easiest way because you see it. And I'm glad to see that folks have already been trying out the written feedback in the workshops, because we'll go over some of that too.
I know. I mean, y'all, A+ across the board, because usually when Allison and I ask, like, hey, have you utilized the services or do you know about academic support? We get like crickets or they're not sure. And you guys are nailing it. A+ work. I'm just so impressed with y'all really like connecting with your resources and going after your best grade and your best self. It's so cool. So Allison, students ask me and our faculty all the time, is academic support only for SNHU 107? Can they use it in other classes? And then when they pull up this menu of services, they're like, whoa, where do I start? So can you kind of break down like what the different pieces are and how it might support their success?
Absolutely. So answer the first question. We are not only for SNHU 107. We are here for all of your courses that you're enrolled at SNHU. So that's the key. You have to be enrolled currently in a course working on your coursework. While we're all have a lot of interest in a lot of things, we have to be focusing on your SNHU coursework. So that's our big rule, is you have to be enrolled and currently enrolled in a class to work with academic support on your SNHU work. But we help undergrads, graduate students, all different types of people. And then the menu of support options. Yes, we have a lot of different modalities, a lot of different ways for you to access support, because every term is different, every person is different, everybody's schedule is different. So because of this, we want to make sure we're able to meet you where you're at. So I'm just going to go through, because even if you've come to us for the written feedback and the workshops, you might be interested to know what some of the other options are. Whoops.
Sorry, y'all. My computer wanted to be mean to me. Hold on a second.
It's okay.
It's just hitting buttons is what it's doing. There you go.
Well, hey. All right. So the 24/7 drop-in tutoring is really popular. This is a great area to go to if you're feeling stuck on an assignment. It's mostly a chat, a live chat with a tutor, and the tutors are subject matter experts. So if you're having a challenging time with your math class, or you're having a challenging time starting something related to one of your computer science courses. The 24/7 drop-in tutoring is a really good spot. There is an audio chat as well, so if you want to talk to somebody, I have heard sometimes that takes a little bit longer to just a wait time, because not all of the tutors have that technology. The other thing that's great about the 24/7 drop-in tutoring is it is 24/7. So if you're working really early in the morning, really late at night, it is a very good option to get help, going through your coursework. The written feedback, as some of you have experienced, and if you want to type in the chat and let us know that experience. The written feedback is so great if you just want a second set of eyes on your draft before your instructor grades it. Two ways this can be useful. Number one, you can set your deadline up for yourself so you're not working till the last minute. And then you need to make sure that there's time for you to receive the feedback. So it says 12 hours, sometimes they're sooner. I always like to say give it a day. That way you're setting your schedule up a little bit early and then you're getting the feedback from them that you can then take some time to go through it and apply it. There's a form for you to fill out where you explain what the assignment is, any concerns you have about the assignment, and then anything you've heard from your instructor so that the person that's giving you the feedback can really tailor their feedback to your concerns. The workshops are fantastic. So especially if you're enjoying these experiences or the other experiences where you get to be in a room with other students, the workshops provide an opportunity for that. We have a bunch of different workshops on a bunch of different topics, and they run at all different times throughout the whole entire week. You can schedule them in advance, or you can just pop in there. So like if you have canceled plans because of a snowstorm and have 4 hours to spare, you can always truck on over to academic support and see what we have running on the workshops and join a workshop to learn something new and to get more academic strength building, I guess. Peer tutoring, our fantastic peer tutors are people who are currently thriving in their courses or maybe have just completed courses. They are our subject matter experts. So if you are having some challenges with a math course or a computer science course or a psychology course, we have a lot of psychology peer tutors, then you can schedule with them and have a one-on-one session. This is really if it's really like the subject, you have some questions and you haven't maybe been able to ask the instructor and want a really detailed, in-depth 45 minutes to talk through something. The peer tutors are exceptional at that and very caring and very understanding and have a lot of tips about how to succeed in courses because they're doing it themselves. Academic coaching is a space where I live. I am one of many of this whole team, and what we do as academic coaches is you meet with us for a planning session. During that planning session, we set a goal and then we schedule some sessions, usually to start off for 3 weeks. Everybody's goal is different, so it might be something where you meet with an academic coach once or twice and you're good. And it may be that we have conversations about other things like maybe check-ins via email, talking on the phone, adding in some of the workshops. We really tailor it to what you're looking for yourself in terms of your academic goals. So that's why the planning session happens, so that we can personalize a goal that helps you to get to where you want to be as a student. And then we also have a new resource center, which the tile, so frequently asked questions is there as the tile, but we also have an academic resource center. So if you're a person that really likes to learn through infographics, videos, and kind of a self-paced learning, we have a lot of resources there. And I will post we're calling it the ARC, Academic Resource Center. Has all of our videos and materials there too, and you can access that through academic support as well. That was a lot. I apologize for taking so long, but yes. Any questions you can also post over on the side too.
No apologies needed because there's so much to cover, and students always ask me and ask all of your guys' faculty, like, what is this and how do I use it and what do I do? And so the biggest thing is, y'all, don't be afraid to click right on that academic support from your classroom space, click on it, and then just click on the try it now button. There's literally like directions and instructions for how you access things and how you get to things. And it's really quick and easy, which is so nice. I love that you guys have so many resources, like literally just a click away for your success. So Allison, as students are putting together any general writing assignment, but especially as they look to put together like this final project, are there any common mistakes that students make that they should be aware of, or like any tips or tricks that you want to give them for their success?
For sure. And you touched upon one at the beginning of the session. And I think it's worth restating, which is I think the templates are fantastic. So sometimes you have templates in courses, sometimes you don't. You can always create your own template too if it's something that helps you make sure you get all the points for the assignment and organize it really well. Sometimes with templates, we kind of go into form filling out mode where we don't add detail. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes like when you're given forms to fill out, like, for different things, we'll kind of write one sentence answers, or we won't go into detail. Still treat it like an essay kind of, make sure that you're adding details, that you're checking the spelling, that you're making sure that your instructor fully understands, and paint a picture for them. It's kind of like if you're asked to give details or examples, which this template has that plural in there, give a few. Paint a picture for them so that they understand you better and can really see what you're talking about. Make sure that you don't wait to the last minute if you can, because then you can use the written feedback, you can double check it. It's really important to make sure that you revise your work before your instructor takes a look at it. I think the best strategy in doing that is pulling up that assignment guidelines and rubric and just pretending you're your teacher. Go through and grade yourself before you submit it. You've heard from your instructor a lot up to this point, and so you kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. So printing out previous feedback so that it's all in one place and that you can look at it all in one place instead of going back to other assignments can be really useful. But then if you grade yourself and try to see it as if it was for the first time. And I know that you've been working on it for a lot, but if you try to see it as if it was for the first time by grading yourself can be helpful. Even better is give it to somebody give it to a family member or a friend and say, hey, would you read this out loud back to me so I can hear what it sounds like? And the reason why having somebody else read it out loud can be very powerful is because they are literally seeing it for the first time, but you're also hearing how it sounds to another person because you've been reading it out loud and hearing it yourself. Whereas if somebody else reads it back to you, they're able to say, oh, I don't know, if they trip up on a word or notice those little is, ofs, thes missing that sometimes our different spell checkers and Grammarly and all of those things can sometimes miss. That's a good way of testing it. You can even use the read aloud function in the Microsoft Word software where it reads back to you. Perfect. I see somebody using that. Yeah, if you use that MS read aloud feature, then you can hear it back to you and it's just as if you're hearing it for the first time. So those are some tips and tricks. Make sure you add detail, make sure that you give examples, and the most important thing always that you'll hear from both Melanie and I is do your best, get it submitted, because always, always, always some points is better than 0 points. So we want to make sure you submit it and stay in conversation with your instructor. Those are my tips.
Such great tips for success, y'all. And I love that like now technology is just so incredible that there's all these cool things that Microsoft Word does that it didn't used to do when I was back in the day in school. So it's pretty cool to see these things. But I did get a couple of questions too about the template. So the templates are available in several of your classes for different assignments, right? SNHU 107 isn't going to be the only class you're going to see templates for, okay? The reason templates are there is because it just kind of gives you like a guide and it makes it an easy way to like open up that document, just type right in it, right? Not everybody loves the templates. And it is okay if you want to kind of create your own document. That's fine. You can totally do that. I've had students that have submitted it kind of in a paper form. I've had students that have submitted it using the template. I've had students get creative. The biggest thing to remember is if you want to alter or change the template or kind of make your own document, is you want to make sure that you have all the pieces and parts of every single question. Because 9 times out of 10, when I have a student that deletes things in the template or kind of changes the template in a way, they miss a piece or part of a question. So it's my only caution. If you want to go back and like double check that you have all those pieces and parts, totally do it. There's nothing wrong with that. So just know that. I get that question a lot. Like, do I have to keep the template? You can make something that's your own. Just make sure you have all the questions, because your instructor is going to be grading it line by line. They're going to take that rubric and they're going to match it against whatever you turn in, whether it's the template or you kind of created your own document. And they're going to be looking for each question as they go down the line. So it needs to be in order. It needs to be all there. Those are just some of my pieces in regards to like the template questions, because I know that a lot of students have that question. So I wanted to make sure I framed why we have them. But then also you can create your own thing. You just need to make sure you got all pieces and parts. Allison, we all know that life gets busy and life can also always be lifing. Allison always says that and I stole it from her. Life is lifing. Sometimes our best laid plans just completely fall apart. Or we have perfected the skill of procrastination. I say we have perfected it because sometimes it takes a lot of energy to keep putting stuff off. So what do students do if they procrastinate on this assignment? Maybe they can't get it to written feedback in time. Like, what are some tips for their success to still turn in that quality document?
A lot of the tips that we talked about on the last slide still do apply. You can still have somebody else read it aloud to you. You can still use the MS feature to read aloud. You can still check yourself and grade yourself before you submit it. You can always also reach out to your instructor, because when life be lifing, if there is some things I'm sure your instructor would like to know. And sometimes it's also helpful, if we're talking about technology, to use that dictate tool, because if you have a phone or a tablet and you're kind of on the run, you can work on the assignment, in a waiting room while you're, waiting for your food at takeout, not while you're driving, but if you're a passenger in a car, you can be working on it, because that dictate button, you can get down your thoughts really quickly, which is a rough draft. So then you can get all of the thoughts down. But you can also, especially with the templates, work on it little by little throughout the day. And so the most important thing is still check yourself, still grade yourself. Remember the comment section too. When you upload your draft, there's a comment section in there. So if you felt stuck on anything or you had some challenges with the assignment, you can let your instructor know that way as well. But I love the sticky note, because it really is just do it and get it submitted. Do the best you can, because some points are better than no points. And if it's a pattern that you're recognizing, if you recognize that procrastination is something that you do challenge, a lot of times it's our brain protecting ourselves and kind of pushing something off, but that can create anxiety too. So if you are creating some anxiety for yourself repeatedly, that might be a challenge. So it might be worth it to kind of talk with one of us in the academic coaching area and see what sort of procrastination management strategies we can come up with together.
I love it. See, y'all, there's so many resources here for your success at SNHU. You just have to not be hesitant to reach out and connect with everybody that's here. And this one department just has so many pieces and this whole menu of services that is here for your success. So just to kind of wrap up a couple things before I go into the classroom space and walk you through that example and where to find it, is the biggest things is, one, thank you, Allison, for spending some time with us today. It's so always amazing to have one of our other SNHU departments here. And I hope you guys enjoyed getting to see a different department face, because she's incredible and so is her team. So please let her know thank you. But the biggest thing is, y'all, know how you're graded. Pull up that rubric. I saw a couple students mention that they use that rubric. Look at it, use the template. Again, like if you want to kind of create your own document, totally fine. Just make sure it stays in order and has all pieces and parts of all the questions so you don't miss something, okay? I know Allison is sharing some links and stuff in the chat too. So if there's anything that you might need or specific questions you have from that team, but just know they're just literally a click away from your Brightspace classrooms. And don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out to your instructor if you're stuck on something and have questions. A lot of times they can connect you with different departments or give you that answer that you're seeking. Don't wait. We're talking about this Module 7 project a whole week early, so don't wait on that. If you have questions now, make sure you're asking those things. And this webinar is recorded too. So you can go back and watch it as many times as you need to. It'll be up on that first year experience page. You can go back and watch this as many times as you want. Sorry, y'all, I forgot to turn my camera back on. for your success. So just know that this assignment is about you. It's about you connecting the dots of what you've learned all term long. So don't forget to be yourself. Okay, that's one of the biggest thing. And like Allison said, some points are better than none. You have worked way too hard to not turn this assignment in. Okay, I said what I said. Get it done, right? So I wanted to flip into the classroom space here really quickly. So hold on just a second. Can y'all see my classroom okay? Sorry, my chat feature likes to disappear sometimes. Okay, perfect. Y'all can see it, which is great. Okay, so real quick, right now you're in module 6, right? So let's just double check module 6. You know, click on module 6 right here. All you have this week is that journal assignment. Click on guidelines and rubric, pulls up the template. You can type right in it. Again, if you want to create your own document, totally fine. Just make sure you have all pieces and parts and it stays in order. Okay. Remember, journal assignment due on Sunday or before. Now, module 7. When you get into module 7, couple of things I wanted to point out. One, you will see that there's a discussion, but it's not graded. So that is literally there as an opportunity for you to share your tips and tricks of how you're putting this final project together. Maybe something that worked from you from a time management perspective in your classroom, or just like how the term is going. Do not, and I repeat, do not post any pieces or parts of your final project in the discussion space. Okay? I just wanted to make sure because students will see that and be like, oh, I saw we have a discussion due. No, it's not graded. It's just there for an opportunity for feedback. Okay. The heavy hitter for week 7 is right here. 7-2 project submission, create an academic success plan. As always, click on guidelines and rubric, right? When you do that, this is what I wanted to point out. It'll go over the entire assignment. It's going to explain why you're doing it, how it ties into your classroom. It's going to have the directions, which lists all of the questions. And if you notice that your questions have several pieces and parts, okay? So I wanted to point that out. And as you scroll down underneath this what to submit, you will see academic success plan template, okay? It is the same as underneath the supporting materials where you see project template. These two documents are the same. Why they're named differently, I'm not sure, but they're the same document, okay? So you click on the blue, gets you to where you want to go. It's going to open up that blank Word document, right? Like it always does. Now, what I wanted to point out just really quick is I'm going to see if it'll download for me real fast because I wanted to show you guys something on the screen is when you pull up that document, you want to click on enable editing. And then as always, you know, you guys can type right in the document, right? Again, if you want to create your own document, you want to make something that's your own, just make sure you have all pieces and parts. But what I wanted to point out is a lot of students don't know how to use or where to find that dictate tool that's in Microsoft Word. So if you're looking at your screen, go to the upper right-hand corner, see this microphone button that says dictate, you just click on it. So what I will have students do sometimes is they will, you know, put their mouse, their cursor in a spot, click on dictate, and they'll respond via voice to the question. It'll text it out, and then you can go back and edit it. Just an idea, okay? Just an idea. But I know students are like, where is that dictate tool? What are you talking about? I wanted to make sure you knew where that was, okay? So I wanted to show you that. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys noticed is underneath what to submit, and there's the supporting materials, is project example. But don't forget, keep scrolling. There's that whole project rubric that's going to go line by line for every single question and how you're going to be graded, right? So let's talk about this project example. When you click on it, click the blue, gets to where you want to go. It's going to pull up this document. It is a completed academic success plan. Like I mentioned earlier, this is here as a reference, as a guideline for you to understand what your final project that you submit should look like. It's not perfect, okay? It's not absolutely perfect, but it's a really great example. I also want to remind you, do not copy or paste any pieces or parts of this project because it'll flag an academic integrity issue, okay? It's been used a long time, but we like to have this example because it just gives you kind of that foundation, that starting point, right? So I'm going to run through it. So if you feel comfortable, you can hop off, but I'm going to run through each question just real quick so you kind of have an idea of what to expect, right? So you'll notice the student just used the template. They opened it up and typed right in it. So always put your name on your paper. I always tell students that. Always put your name. And when you save it, put your name too, and then whatever the assignment is, just in case, just in case. So first question, identify a problem-solving technique or method you have used in a previous situation and explain how it helped you. That's question 1. Question 2, how might problem-solving methods be different in diverse cultures or in different fields of work? Question 3, how can effective problem-solving help you in your academic journey? So notice question 1 actually has 3 parts. So you'll notice that the student, to make it organized and easy to review, used bullets, and they answered each question kind of in small paragraphs, couple of sentences, right? So they put that they use the trial and error method. So they named the method and explained why. Okay, don't forget those pieces and parts. You'll notice that for each one. Okay, question 2. Remember when we talked about learning styles? Here it is again. Identify your learning style. And for some of you, you might have a variety of learning styles. So you can list all of them or share all of them. Identify your learning style or styles and explain how knowing or learning about that learning style or styles help support your success this term. So you'll notice the student kept the bullet method. They just said, my learning style is this, and this is how it helped me. Does that make sense? Is this helpful? Just kind of going through it just to make sure you understand what is expected of you. Question 3, identify which of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student have been most helpful for you throughout this course. So notice that this question says, identify which of the 5 successful habits. Name at least 2. Okay, whenever it's plural, always go for 2. So think back when we talked about those 5 successful habits. This student, the 2 that helped them were logging in early and reaching out for help. And then they explained why. Okay, so you'll notice just a quick paragraph, not real long, but it gives the details so we understand their whole thought train. Okay. And you don't have to use bullet points. You can do this differently. You can write in paragraphs. This is just an example of what this student did. Some students like this format. You can make it whatever y'all want it to be. Just make sure you have every question and all pieces and parts of the questions. Okay. Question 4, explain how you will stay on track in your courses and overcome interruptions that may impact your schedule. So this student just shared, like, I'm going to make a to-do list for each week. I'm going to work with my advisor and I want to have my assignments done by this day so I can spend time with my friends and family. Okay. And you'll see that they notice that their biggest interruption tends to be their kiddos and when they're home. So what are they going to do to overcome that interruption? Okay. So they explain that. Question 5, choose 2 SNHU resources and 2 social supports. Remember, SNHU resources are departments and people and things here at the university. So your partner, your kids, your coworker, they are not an SNHU resource. SNHU resources are things like the academic support team, your instructors, your advisors, SNHU wellness, the learning community, right? So you're going to pick at least 2, and then you're going to share how they've helped you achieving your mission and goals and how they can help you prioritize your time moving forward. Why are they important, basically, right? So you will notice that this student chose their instructor and academic support, and they explained why. Okay, I'm going to check the chat just real quick. I saw the question, is it okay to further dissect what we wrote before? Again, y'all, these concepts aren't new, and we've talked about them before, right? My advice is make sure whatever you are responding in your final project, that it answers all pieces and parts of the question. What you might have done in week 2 might not fully answer everything in module 7. So yes, you'll have to expand upon your thinking, but you're still going to have the same learning style in week 2 that you do now in week 7, right? Does that make sense? Does that help you answer that question? And I always tell students too, oh, Allison, you got it. Check your faculty feedback. Go back to the grade book, look and see what your instructor said, if there was anything that might be missing. So anything that you could add, just make sure that you answer the question fully. Okay. So again, 2 SNHU resources, they named them both and explained all the pieces and parts. And then they named 2 social supports. Social supports that is outside of SNHU. So your advisor, your instructor are not a social support. Okay. These are people, places, organizations, things outside of the university. All right. So this person listed their partner and they listed their best friend and explained why. Okay. Question 6. So really 6 and 7. Back in week 4, y'all wrote a mission statement and then 3 short-term goals, right? This is a space where if in module 4, you got 100% on that assignment, your mission statement was ready to rock and roll, and your 3 short-term goals that you wrote back in week 4 are ready to go with no changes, no edits, no additions needed, you can copy and paste your mission right underneath number 6 and make sure you have all 3 short-term goals underneath 7. If you had changes, like maybe you didn't answer part of your mission statement, or maybe you forgot a due date or a deadline for your goals, or it needed to be more specific, make sure you make those changes. Because I will tell you as an instructor, when it comes to this project, I am pulling up what, let's say, Allison did in week 4, and I'm pulling it up to week 7. So if I asked Allison to add in some due dates on her goals, or maybe she was missing a little bit of information in her mission statement, I'm looking for those changes. Does that make sense, everybody? But if you got 100%, your instructor was like, hey, your mission and 3 short-term goals are ready to go, this is where you can copy and paste. Now, what I want to remind you when you're copying and pasting is make sure you really carry everything over, okay? Because I have had students that have forgotten a sentence of their mission statement, or they've copied 2 goals, not 3 goals, things like that happen. So just make sure. Again, if you on previous assignments got hundreds, that's awesome. However, the questions are not the same necessarily on the template as what you answered before. So just make sure that you're fully giving the answers to the new questions. You're going to be able to use some of the things you did before, but it's not going to be exact. Okay. Question 8 is to describe the importance of setting goals on your academic journey. So why do you think setting goals is important? The student explained it in a couple of sentences. Doesn't have to be real long. Just make sure your train of thought is complete. Okay. Question 9, explain how you're going to stay motivated to achieve your goals and mission statement based off what you've learned in SNHU 107. So this student learned like they're their biggest motivator and they have to have a to-do list. They know they need to use their resources. So they just explain those things. Okay. Question 10 is to explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial to giving and receiving feedback when collaborating with others. Again, this is a topic that we're using right now here in week 6, but the question's a little bit different, right? So it's important to make sure that you share your answers based off of this question that's here for the project. Okay. Question 11, explain why it is important to take ownership, be vulnerable, ask for help, and have an open mind to achieve your goals. So the students shared their perspective. And then the very last question, rounding out your final project for number 12, is what was your biggest takeaway from this course? Takeaway means like, what is the one thing that like you learned the most? This student just said their biggest takeaway is that SNHU wants them to succeed on their academic journey. Like there's a lot of resources and they know they need to use them for their success, and like it helps them feel confident. If I've had students share that like, wow, like I learned this term not only about resources, but I learned how to manage my time because maybe they weren't managing their time well. Or I've had students that have shared like, I've learned that I need to ask for help. Like I need to connect with my advisor or the academic support team, whatever it is, you just want to explain what your biggest takeaway was from this course. Okay. I want to just check the chat really quick and make sure. I think I got all the questions, but like that's the project, y'all. That's literally what it is. That's what's there. I showed you where to find everything. As a reminder, as far as accessing academic support, it's right here at the top. Click on academic support. When you click on that, it's going to pull up their menu of services, and then all you do is click on submit a draft. So what I always encourage students to do is we're talking about this project early. So now is a great time for you to kind of build your rough draft and then submit it to the written feedback team for feedback, and then make some necessary changes. Go back, look at what you've submitted before, look at what your instructor has graded, and then put together your project and use your resources for your success. The coolest thing is none of these concepts are new. You've had assignments based on all of these concepts all term long. So now you're just kind of pulling it together and you're able to kind of utilize different pieces of your class to connect the dots and put that finished product in. And I always tell students, be realistic to you and your needs and your thoughts, because I've taught for SNHU 107 for over 10 years. That's crazy. But I will have students that are getting ready to graduate come back to me and say, Professor Shop, remember when I was in your SNHU 107 class and we did that like final project, like a mission and goals and resources I was going to use? They're like, I found that. I was struggling my last couple of terms and was like, gosh, what am I missing? And they like found their project and they were like, oh, I said I was going to like work with this resource, or I was going to like do this. And it reminded them. So keep it personal to you, be yourself on this project. And if you have questions or you're stuck or you're not sure on something, please, please, please be sure to let your instructor know. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I don't think y'all need that anymore. But that's it. That's all we have. So was this helpful? Remember, I'll have this recording downloaded here in a couple of hours and I'll get it up on our YouTube page. I'm going to grab that link here just real quick. This is where you can find those webinars every Monday. They're there. So basically you just want to find the week that you're looking for. So when you go to look for this week, it'll be underneath week 6. And then the focus videos, those are already up for the entire term. And there is a focus video specifically created for the Module 7 project. It's not very long, but if you go to the focus videos and click on the Module 7 one, it's already loaded. It will be there. Okay. So just know, like, y'all take a big deep breath. You have already done all the hard things. Now you're just putting it together into one final document. Remember to use your resources. Remember to reach out if you get stuck or have questions. Also remember that this is the time of the term where if you have fallen behind, maybe if you struggled on something, this is where you want to get with your instructor and see if you can make up anything or redo anything. They very well can tell you no. But the answer is always no unless we ask. Okay, so go after your most points, go after your best grade. I do have a quick survey. If y'all have a minute to take it, let us know what you think of the webinars. Let us know if there's anything we can improve or do better. But thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Wednesday with Allison and I. I sure hope this was helpful. We are just so absolutely proud of you here at SNHU. Way to get to week 6. Let's really hunker down, finish these next couple of weeks strong. Do not forget next week about that final project. Get it done. And then week 8, you're going to have a discussion. You're going to be wrapping up your term. So it's going to go real quick. So make sure you get everything done. If you have questions, you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And y'all have the best rest of your week. Goodbye, everybody. I'm going to stay on just for a little bit to answer any questions that might come up, but go ahead and head off if you're ready for your day and go about your day. I'll give you some time back. So I saw some questions about a study group for their class. I know sometimes that students will get together in the learning community. They've created a couple of study groups. SNHU 107, and then there's another class, IDS 105 and IDS 1050. Those are the only 3 courses here at SNHU that have dedicated learning communities or webinars like this. But if you get into SNHU Connect underneath the learning community for SNHU 107, there are a few students that have put together some like kind of on the side study groups. So if you're interested in that, you can always scroll through those messages and see what is there. Remember too, next week for week 7, just a reminder, the discussion is optional, but your final project is due that Sunday of week 7. And then for week 6, which is today, like this week, that week 6 journal is due by this Sunday or before. Okay, so lots of great tips for success in here. You guys, thanks for such a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Y'all have a great rest of your week. And remember, you got this.